Okay, silence all of you and sit properly in your bench. And I would like to request all of you concentrate your minds towards me. Histology and life process. Histology, chapter 5, histology and the life process. First of all, as we know that histology is the branches of science which deals study about the tissues of living beings. As we know, there are many kinds of living beings in the nature. And then these living beings, some of them the animals and some of them are plants. Plant has the plant tissues and animals has animal tissues. So in this chapter we will discuss brief in the tissues of plant and animals. So first of all, you know that cell is the basic and structural unit of life. Cell is the minute particles of the living beings. Cell is the fundamental and structural elements of the living beings. So it gives the special shape and size and have the specific functions. That's why cell is the minute particles of a living organisms. Like that may be in case of plant, that one is the minute particle, and that may be in the case of animal, that one is the minute particles of animals. So cell is the basic and fundamental units of life. जीवनको सबभन्दा सानो तर आधारभूत इकाइ भनेकै के हो? Cell. That's way, like that, if we construct the building, in the natures as well as the buildings in anywhere, then we need the minute particles for the conductions of the whole buildings. Like that, we need the bricks, cement, sand slate, slates, water, and other requirements are needed to construct the whole buildings. Like that, our whole body is composed by the minute particles of cell, tissues, organs, and the system. So they are combined together, combining to each other, combining to form the group, and then they finally met as the whole body of the organisms. That's why in case of animals, the cell is the minute and the basic elements for the life. When the two or more than two cells are combining together to form the tissues. So these tissues, study of the tissues of living beings, it's called to us that histology. Similarly, tissues and the tissues are combined together to form the what's that organs. Like stomach is the one kinds of organs in our body, lungs is the organs, heart is the organs. Similarly, other organs are formed by the combinations of tissues. When two or more than two organs are combining together, then they form what's that systems of the body. And then there are many kinds of systems and organs that present in our humans as well as the plant's body. They are combining to each other to form the cell, and cell forms the tissue, and tissues forms the organs, and organs forms the what's that system, and systems are combining to each other forms the what's that whole body. An entire whole body is composing by these constitutes of the human beings as well as the other living beings of the cell, tissues, systems, organ, system, and entire body is formed like this process. That's why you can see in the figures. First of all, the living cells are combining together to form the tissues, and tissues are combining to form the organ, like stomach is given to there. Similarly, these organs are different organs, and group of organs are together to form the organs of systems, like digestive systems is shown in figures. So it reminds your mind, system is also formed by the different type of the body organs. Like digestive systems is formed by the 9 different type of the organs in the body. For example, the digestive system is started from the mouth, then foot 5, and foot 5 is joining together with the stomach, and behind of the stomach there is a duodenum, and duodenum is connecting within the large intestine, and large intestine finally joining together with the small intestine, and then rectum and anus. Our digestive systems and alimentary canals is also formed by the different organs to this. So, like other system, respiratory system, like we have respirations continuously in the every day. But there is many organs are present to respire and expirations of the gases inside the human body, like nasal cavity and the nose, trachea, understand, bronchus, and a lobe of the lungs, and inside of the lungs there is a alveolus, and these kinds of organs are present inside the system. So our entire whole body is also consist by the different type of combinations of cell, tissues, organs, system, and the finally whole body is formed to it. Understand? Like that. Next, in case of the animals, plants, you can see here that one is the dissections of the dicot plants. There is the group of cells like cortex. Cortex is the group of, there are numerous as well as the many cells are joining together. Similarly, other organs are present to there. They are mentioning in your figures like pelviferous layer, cortex, endodermis, phloem, xylem, pericycle, and Casparian strips. These are the body organs of the plant. Understand? They are combining. There is a combinations of tissues, and they forms the tissues, and tissues are forms the organs, and organs forms the system, and systems to forms the words that entire body of the animals and plants. So have you cleared that, and have we remains in your mind. Histology is the branches of science which deals with study about the tissues of the living beings. That point remains in your mind. Similarly, so you know, histology is the branches of science which study about the tissues, and there are generally two types of tissues: plant tissues and the animal tissue. Plant tissue means the tissue that presents in the plant, and animal tissues that presents in the animals. The plant ma रहेको tissuesहरुलाई हामीले plant tissues भन्छौं भने animals मा रहेको tissues लाई हामी के भन्छौं त animal tissues भनेर भन्ने गर्दछौं. So these tissues further categorized into the different ways and the different type. Like that, plant tissues is divided into the two types: meristematic plant tissues and the permanent tissues. Meristematic tissue further divided into the three types: apical meristematic tissues, lateral meristematic tissues, and the intercalary meristematic tissues. And then the permanent plant tissues are further divided into the three different types. First one, simple permanent tissues. Second, complex permanent tissues. Third, special permanent tissues. And then the simple permanent tissues also divided into the three ways: parenchyma, sclerenchyma, and the collenchyma. And second, the complex permanent tissues are divided into the two types: xylem and the phloem. They are also known as the vascular bundles because they are responsible to conduct the water, minerals, and salt from the soil to the different part of the bodies. So they are called the vascular bundles too. And next, special permanent tissue are also divided into the two ways: glandular permanent tissues, special permanent tissues, and the lactiferous permanent tissue. Like, I hope that you are experienced about it. Some of them plants, they bears the lactiferous substances from studios. Like they produce the milk like produce, like rubber plant. That one is the lactiferous substances. Like bullberry, marigold, like lalupate. These flowers are broken by us, then they produce the milk-like substances from studios. I understand? They are called towards that lactiferous glands are present to there. They segregate the milk-like substances. And some of them are the glandular tissues that present in the plants. Like the pine plant produce the gum and glue-like substances from studios. That one is the lactiferous, because there is presence of lactiferous special permanent tissue in the plant. So then the plant tissues can be divided into the two ways. So we shall discuss more about it in these chapters. Third one, plant tissues are the type of tissues which has a similar structures and they have the similar function. Plant tissues are those kinds of tissues which have the similar structures. They have the same size. They have the same structures and having the same performing of their functions. They have also special functions, but they have the similar as well as the common functions to each other. So the group of tissues is called towards that organ. A group of plant cells which performing essentially as the same functions and common to similar shape and size is called towards that plant tissue. Plant tissues are those kinds of tissues which have the same structures and the same functions. They are called what's that? Plant tissues. And plant tissues is divided into the two ways: meristematic plant tissues and the permanent plant tissue. First, meristematic plant tissues. Meristematic plant tissues is the such type of plant tissues that presents in the tip of the plants, site of the plants, stems of the plant, root of the plant. But they are generally responsible for the increasement of their height, diameters, and their length. So meristematic tissues are the living cells. Some of them plant tissues are made by the non-living cells, but they are composing through the what's that? Living cells. And they have the high capacity to divisions of cell. They have the high capacity to cell divisions in the plant's cell. They are called the meristematic tissues. So meristematic tissues are the young cell which have the capacity of active cell divisions. Is called the what's that? Meristematic tissue or meristematic भनेर पनि भन्ने गरिन्छ. Like you can see in the figures, you can see in the screen, the top of this plant has the apical meristematics, and the intercalary of the nodes of this plant has the intercalary meristematic tissues as presents to there, and finally the sidewise of the stems has the lateral meristematic tissues are present to there. From this location, we can summarize that apical tissues is generally found in the top of the plants, tip of the plants, tip of the stem, tip of the roots, and the tip of the plants too. And intercalary meristematic tissues are generally found within the intercalary between the nodes of the leaves. जुन पातहरु चाहिँ डेभलप भएको हुन्छ त्यो पातहरु डेभलप भएको दुईटा नोड्सको बीचमा चाहिँ के हुँदो रहेछ भनेको intercalary meristematic tissue हुन्छ. It helps to increase the height and the length. Sorry, height and the length as well as diameters. यो diameter, height and length तीनटै बढाउने कुरामा के हुन्छ यो चाहिँ हाइली रेस्पोन्सिबल चाहिँ गर्दछ. Similarly, meristematic tissues also divided into the three ways: apical meristematic tissues, lateral meristematic tissues, and intercalary meristematic tissues. All of these are responsible for the increasements of their height, length, breadth, and so on. So, apical meristematic tissues is the meristematic plant tissues which is responsible for the increase of tip and length of the height. It's called the apical meristematic tissues. It is commonly found in the tip, that means top of the plants, roots, tip of the roots, that means end of the roots. They have the high capacity to divisions of their cells. जसको सेल डिभिजन धेरै हुन सक्ने क्यापासिटी के हुन्छ मैक्सिमम भएको हुन्छ. Similarly, the tip of the plant, like that you can see there, this tip has the apical meristematic tissues. They have the high capacity to cell divisions of the plant tissues. So that helps to increasing the height of the plants. जसले गर्दा प्लान्टको हाइट बढ्नका निम्ति के गर्दिन्छ त ठुलो हेल्प गर्ने गर्दछ. Similarly, second, lateral meristematic tissues, the meristematic plant tissues which is responsible for increasing of their diameters of the plants. They are generally found in the lateral side of the stem and the root of the plants. प्लान्टहरुको रुटमा र स्टेम्सहरुको lateral side मा चाहिँ प्राय के पाइन्छ त lateral meristematic tissue पाइन्छ. And they responsible for the increasements of their diameter. That means they helps to enhance their diameters of the plant. And they also responsible for the enhance and accelerates their diameters of the root and the stems. Plant को चाहिँ stem बढाउने, मोटाई बढाउने अथवा रुटको मोटाइ बढाउने कामले गर्दो रहेछ यो लेटरल मेरिस्मेटिक टिस्युजहरूले गर्ने गर्दछ सिमिलर intercardially merismatic tissues those merismatic plant tissues which are located in between the base of the leaf above the nodes यो एउटा पातहरु उत्पादन भएको नोड्स बीचको जुन बीचमा रहेको सेल्स टिस्युजहरु हुन्छ ग्रुप अफ टिस्युज हुन्छ त्यसलाई हामी के भन्छौं intercalary tissues भन्छौं they are also responsible for the increasing in their height and length यसले पनि के हेल्प गर्छ त भन्दाखेरि तिनीहरुको हाइट र लेन्थ इन्क्रिज गर्नका लागि के हुन्छ यो हाइली रेस्पोन्सिबल हुन्छ this was today and we will discuss more in next day thank you class